guess what? We're here with another podcast.
Hi, guys. It's Mrs. Klein.
And Mrs. Wilbrin, and we're going to be talking about Lesson 11, Sections 3 and 4 today. You guys are going to learn all about Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson.
Oh, my goodness. I think we have some music to share, don't we?
Oh, my gosh.
Definitely.
So much.
Definitely. If you're a fan of Hamilton, you're going to like this section of what we learn about.
Yeah. Okay. And we're going to start with talking about Alexander Hamilton and the Federalist Party. So, George Washington's, when we left off last, we talked about the farewell address. So George Washington's warnings did not stop the rise of political parties in the young nation. However, the Federalist Party appeared first during the debates over the ratification of the Constitution. Its most influential leader was Washington's energetic Treasury Secretary, Alexander Hamilton.
All right. Hamilton was born in the West Indies and raised on the Caribbean island of St. Croix. When Hamilton was a teenager, he wrote a vivid description of a devastating hurricane that struck the island. The writing impressed all who read it, and a few St. Croix leaders arranged to send the talented teenager to New York, where he could get the education he deserved.
Mm-hmm. Now, with no money or family connections to help him rise in the world, he made his way on ability, ambition, and charm.
George Washington spotted Hamilton's talents early in the American Revolution and made the young man his aide-de-camp, or personal assistant.
Later, Hamilton was elected to represent New York in Congress after the war. He also served as a delegate from New York to the Constitutional Convention.
So he's very much involved in all things at the beginning of our country. All right, so we're talking about his view of human nature. So most Federalists shared Hamilton's view that people were basically selfish and out for themselves. So they distrusted any system of government that gave too much power to the mob or the common people.
Yeah. And as far as his views on government, Hamilton and Federalists believed that the best people, right, the educated, the wealthy, the public-spirited men like themselves should be running the country.
All right. Federalists favored a strong national government and hoped to use the new government's powers under the Constitution to unite the quarreling states and to keep order among the people.
Yeah. And we also need to talk about his views on the economy. So Hamilton's dream of national greatness depended on the United States developing a strong economy. In 1790, the nation's economy was still based mainly on agriculture. Hamilton wanted to expand the economy and increase the nation's wealth by using the power of the federal government to promote business, manufacturing, trade, land grants for education, and infrastructure such as canals and roads.
All right, before this could happen, the new nation needed to begin paying off the huge debts that Congress and the states had accumulated during the American Revolution. In 1790, Hamilton presented Congress with a plan to pay off all war debts as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Now, Hamilton's plan for repaying the debts was opposed by many Americans, especially in the South. Most Southern states had already paid their war debts and saw little reason to help states in the North pay off what they still owed.
To save his plan, Hamilton linked it to another issue, the location of the nation's permanent capital.
Yeah. So Hamilton promised to support a location in the South if Southerners would support his debt plan.
All right. Next, Hamilton asked Congress to establish a national bank, which Hamilton believed would help the government by collecting taxes and keeping those funds safe. It would print paper money backed by the government, giving the nation a stable currency. Most important, the bank would make loans to business people to build new factories and ships.
Yeah. Now, once again, Hamilton's proposal ran into heavy opposition. Where in the Constitution, his opponents asked, was Congress given the power to establish a bank? In their view, Congress could exercise only those powers specifically listed in the Constitution.
All right. Hamilton, in contrast, supported a loose construction or broad interpretation of the Constitution. He pointed out that the elastic clause allowed Congress to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying out its listed powers. And so the bank, he said, right, is necessary and proper.
Right. I mean, we're collecting taxes. We need somewhere to put that money.
Exactly.
Okay. So Hamilton's views on Great Britain and France. So when war broke out between France and England in 1793, most Federalists sided with Great Britain. Some were merchants and shippers whose business depended on trade with America's former enemy. while others simply felt more comfortable supporting orderly Great Britain against revolutionary France.
Yeah, they were cutting heads off, right, in France. Okay, so we just learned about Alexander Hamilton. Now let's find out, this is another member of George Washington's cabinet. We're going to find out about Thomas Jefferson and the Republican Party. All right, Alexander Hamilton's success in getting his plans through Congress alarmed Thomas Jefferson and his fellow Republicans. In Jefferson's view, almost everything Hamilton did in the name of putting the United States on the path to greatness was instead a step down the road to ruin. The two men held very different views on almost everything.
Yeah. I mean, even their personal background is so different. So Jefferson was born in Virginia to an old and respected family. He was gifted with many talents. And as a boy, he learned to ride, hunt, sing, dance, and play the violin.
Jefferson was also a gifted student and had already learned Greek and Latin by the time he entered college at 16.
16.
I know, crazy.
Okay. With land inherited from his father, Jefferson set himself up as a Virginia tobacco planter. Once he was established as a planter, Jefferson entered Virginia's politics.
All right, now pay attention to how different his view of human nature is. All right, Jefferson's view of human nature was much more hopeful than Hamilton's. He assumed that informed citizens could make good decisions for themselves and their country. I have so much confidence in the good sense of man, Jefferson wrote when the revolution broke out in France, that I am never afraid of the issue or outcome where reason is left free to exert her force.
Mm-hmm. Jefferson had great faith in the goodness and wisdom of people who worked the soil, farmers and planters like himself. Mm-hmm. I like his view of people better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're not just out for themselves.
Yeah.
All right, now here's his views on government. Republicans favored democracy over any other form of government and had no patience with the Federalist view that only the best people should rule. To Republicans, this view came dangerously close to monarchy or rule by a king.
Yeah. Republicans believed that the best government was the one that governed the least, and that small government with limited powers was most likely to leave people alone to enjoy the blessings of liberty. To keep the national government small, they insisted on a strict construction or interpretation of the Constitution. The Constitution, they insisted, meant exactly what it said, no more and no less.
Along with advocating for a weak national government, Republicans favored strong state governments. State governments, they argued, were closer to the people, and the people could control them more easily.
Yeah. Okay, now Jefferson's views on the economy. Jefferson was a countryman, and he believed that the nation's future lay not with the Federalist bankers and merchants in big cities, but with plain Republican farmers. Republicans favored an economy based on agriculture and opposed any measures such as the National Bank designed to encourage the growth of business and manufacturing.
All right, now here's his views on Great Britain and France. Okay, despite the violence of the revolution, most Republicans and Thomas Jefferson continued to support France. While regretting the bloodshed, they argued that the loss of a few thousand aristocrats was a small price to pay for freedom.
Yeah, and in 1793, the French government sent Edmond Genet to the United States as an official representative.
Republicans welcomed Citizen Genet as a conquering hero.
Mm-hmm. And President Washington, however, did not want to be drawn into war with Great Britain. So his response to Genet was cool and dignified.
Genet began making speeches against the president. These attacks on Washington brought thousands of Genet's supporters into the Philadelphia streets.
Yeah, this was too much even for Jefferson, calling Genet hot-headed, disrespectful, and even indecent toward the president. Secretary of State Jefferson asked the French government to recall its troublesome representative.
All right, you guys, so let's get ready to review some key info about two key players, Hamilton and Jefferson.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're going to start with Hamilton and the Federalists. Remember, they favored a strong national government. They supported a loose construction of the Constitution. They also favored using the government's power to support business, manufacturing, and trade. Alarmed by the violence of the French Revolution, the Federalists favored Great Britain in the war with France.
All right, now Thomas Jefferson and the Republicans. Jefferson and the Republicans championed states' rights and an economy based on agriculture. They supported a strict construction of the Constitution. Republicans saw the French Revolution as a step toward democracy and attacked the Federalist support for Great Britain.
All right, guys, and that's it. So